Continuing from the previous episode 140. Xiao Yan is also depressed. Although the inscriptions of life have been condensed, and the formation of formation has also been learned, but not to mention the hierarchical system of spiritual power, what about the cultivation method of spiritual power? If you don't know how to cultivate your spiritual power, how can you improve your spiritual power? Forget it. Let's take one step at a time. Xiao Yan also raised his head again. After all, the illusory figure had also disappeared, so he had no choice. Ever since he came to Btth continent, he had a feeling of being in the way, but it will not be like this from now on, because Xiao Yan is also familiar with Btth continent these days, and he respects the strong just like Btth continent. So there is nothing to be afraid of. Is there a way to cultivate spiritual power? Where should there be? The Golden Dragon King also opened his mouth and said. From the moment when the illusory figure appeared just now, the Golden Dragon King, his master, seemed to be lost in thought and thinking about something. Master, are you all right? These small things naturally couldn't escape Xiao Yan's eyes. It's okay, since everything has been dealt with, then the messenger from Zan Santian is about to come to pick him up. The Golden Dragon King also said, Master, where did you just say the way to cultivate spiritual power? Xiao Yan also asked eagerly. Obviously, the attraction of this battle formation master is really not small. Just imagine, during the battle, he unexpectedly threw a siege to the enemy. The formation of, so as to cover Xiao Yan's fusion of the Lotus of Annihilation, this is Burning Incense Pavilion. The world is huge, and there are so many sects of cultivation, which are inexhaustible. Every sect has its essence and is worth learning. However, due to the thousands of sects, the views of the sects are getting deeper and deeper, and many sects are hostile to each other, making many sects have fallen behind. Fenxiang Pavilion is a detached force on the Xuanling continent, and its strength is unquestionable. It is the most peculiar place in the Xuanling continent, because the students it recruits are divided into two types. One is those who cultivate Btth, and the other is ordinary students, specializing in educating people and literature. Other sects only accept practitioners, which is why the Fenxiang Pavilion ranks last in the Xuanling continent, but it is the most popular place. And in Btth continent, weapons are also very important. There are 4 types of weapons on Btth continent, namely Divine Artifact, Immortal Artifact, Spiritual Artifact and Mortal Artifact. Ordinary Artifact is the most common, and there are only a few artifacts in the entire world, and they are things that can't be met. For Immortal Artifacts, they are all forged or tempered weapons by some fighting immortal level powerhouses. They are very domineering and extremely rare. Not much room, and the so-called spiritual tools are made by the foundry after refining the weapons to the mortal tools, and then further training. There are many ways to refine the weapons, and there are 2 most common ones. The first one is used by most people in the world. The method is to use one's own cultivation base to forcibly inject the cultivation base vindictive energy into one's original mortal weapon. After a long period of tempering, its power will be greatly increased, and then it will cross the boundary of the mortal weapon and become a spiritual weapon. The power of the spiritual tools of method cultivation is very powerful, but unfortunately it takes too much time and cultivation. Without strong will and strong fighting spirit as the back, obviously it will not succeed, so this is also why many people are unwilling to work hard to refine spiritual tools. The second is the magic weapon refining method. Generally, it is to forcefully add living souls or the souls of some magical beasts to one's own mortal tools, so as to increase the power of one's mortal tools and thus achieve the power of spiritual tools. It is a pity that it is extremely vicious, and is despised by the great thousand world. The people of the demon race love to use this method the most, because this method is the fastest and most labor-saving, and it is much faster than the great thousand world cultivating spiritual tools. Looking at this ancient ruler of different fire in your hand, I think it has reached the level of a spiritual tool. Since we are going to Xuanxin San, there is one thing you must keep in mind, that is, all things in the world, in addition to humans, there are other spiritual beings who are cultivating their true self, hoping to transform into human beings. But in the eyes of human beings, they are aliens, and they are called only human beings. They are demons and ghosts. These supernatural beings, like humans, are divided into good and evil. Not all demons, ghosts are bad, just as not all people are good people. So don't be slaughtered by the world's demons. If you are deceived by the words, you must distinguish the good and evil of the other party by yourself, and then make a decision. The most evil in the world is not those alien spirits, but the human beings themselves. You must remember this sentence. Xiao Yan carefully savored the words of his master, the Golden Dragon King, and said with a slight smile, "Don't worry, I won't be the same as those people." After speaking, he looked around slightly, and seemed to have a feeling of reluctance. Xiao Yan already knew what his master, the Golden Dragon King, said, that there are many strange creatures in the great thousand worlds who are also working hard to cultivate, and eventually cultivated to become like a fire spirit. And the holy flame I mentioned is also related to this incense pavilion. So you must join the burning incense pavilion. The Golden Dragon King spoke slowly like a loving old man. Yeah. Wen Yan linked to Schengen www.novelmtl.com. Xiao Yan also shrank his pupils tightly, and then looked at his master, the Golden Dragon King, with fiery eyes. Since coming to Do continent, apart from seeing the power of holy flame on the Qinglian woman in the ruins, Xiao Yan has never seen any holy flame, and there is no news at all. Now that his master, the Golden Dragon King, has revealed a trace of holy flame, it is much simpler than Xiao Yan looking for a needle in a haystack. Xiao Yan became more and more sure of the holy flame on the Qinglian woman. There must be some unknown secrets between the strange fire in his body and the holy flame. Of course, this secret can only be discovered by Xiao Yan himself. But the power of holy flame is really powerful. The power of the source of the holy flame is even more powerful and outrageous. Although Xiao Yan also tried to use the strange fire in his body to activate the power of the source, he did not have the same power as the holy flame, which also made Xiao Yan look forward to the holy flame. Hotter. Okay, let's go back to Yu's house first. With them here, it can save a lot of trouble, the Golden Dragon King also said. Hearing that, Xiao Yan also nodded, and then felt the avatar in the soul realm in his body, the divine inscription seal in the Niwan Palace, and was quite satisfied. Obviously, the inheritance of this battle formation master is the biggest treasure in the ruins, and the blood of the emperor is insignificant compared to this. Xiao Yan also laughed, then got up and walked towards the Yu family. The huge soul power in the body and the spiritual power are also far away from each other, but Xiao Yan can feel the truth. There seems to be some connection between the two. He can only rely on himself to cultivate his mind and understanding. Left the cave in an instant, and flew towards the Yu family. Ask for recommended tickets. Set a small goal first, such as 1 second to remember. Shukju mobile version reading website. Continuing from the previous episode 141. Father, Xiao Yan will be fine, Yu Ru said to her father Yu Yu in the Yu family compound. Don't worry, since Xiao Yan can get rid of the Mu family and Wucheng's pursuit, and make Wucheng in a mess, he must not be an ordinary person. Yu Yu was also quite satisfied with Xiao Yan. Not to mention, the great fortune that Xiao Yan obtained within the ruins made Yu Yu admire him with admiration, not to mention that Xiao Yan escaped from the Mu family's arrest by himself. Xinya 81 Zhang Wei and Wang Yu. Kai 8.1 ZS. Ko Mu Yu and the others first went to the depths of the demonic beast mountains to find Xiao Yan, but the search failed, and then followed by the shocking explosion in Wucheng. Obviously, they were also inseparable from Xiao Yan. Yueru couldn't calm down when she heard the words. They went to the waterfall in the demonic beast mountains to check, but they didn't find any trace of Xiao Yan, and some were just unrecognizable scenes. Yueru clearly remembered that the water flow of the waterfall was very huge, and it would be twisted and staggered by the power of the terrifying flame. This really surprised them, so they couldn't help worrying about Xiao Yan. After the search was fruitless, the three of them also returned to the Yu family. The front foot had just left the waterfall in the demonic beast mountains, and the direction of Wucheng exploded into the sky. At the same time, the three of them also remembered what Xiao Yan said about giving Wucheng a great gift. Yueru walked slowly in the lobby, obviously very worried. Yu also looked at her precious daughter helplessly, and the third elder had already gone out to deal with other affairs. As time passed by, a handsome man in a hat appeared at the back door of Yu's house. You're back? Yueru also exclaimed. Where's your sister? She has already gone back. The two also talked in the same way. Naturally, Xiao Yan couldn't tell Yueru about Qing Yuan. First, Xiao Yan didn't know what to say. Could it be that Qing Yuan was taken away? Second, the less people knew about Qing Yuan, the better. After all, knowing more is sometimes a bad thing. It's fine. Yu Yu also hurriedly interjected, and then looked at Xiao Yan and found that Xiao Yan's soul power seemed to be a little weak, and immediately thought about it. You did the explosion in Wucheng, right? Yu Yu asked. A little gift for them. Hearing this, Xiao Yan also laughed. After all, although he didn't want to cause trouble, if they did get him, they couldn't just let them go. The explosion of Wucheng should be given to them. A little warning from them. What about the ones in the demonic beast mountains? That's a new fighting skill that I experimented with. You are really ruthless, but I like your temperament. Yu Yu also laughed loudly. After all, Wucheng is such a local emperor, but I haven't seen them so embarrassed for a long time. This time Xiao Yan's big gift, Wucheng, in a short period of time, the vitality is also greatly damaged. Have you decided to join that sect? The three of them chatted and laughed in the lobby, and then Yu Yu said as if remembering something. Burning Incense Pavilion, Xiao Yan said lightly. Fenxian Pavilion, where should it be suitable for someone with a very strong fire attribute, and not to mention other things, even if you are an alchemist, you can also gain a good position in it. Yu Yu also thought about it. However, although you joined the Fenxian Pavilion, my daughter joined the Wanhua Pavilion. Although the two pavilions are opposites, you both take care of each other when you go out. Yu Yu said with a smile. The implication is also obvious. Senior, don't worry, Xiao Yan naturally knows this. How could Xiao Yan not understand Yu Yu's meaning? He immediately agreed. Although the Fenxian Pavilion and the Wanhua Pavilion are sects that oppose each other, they are also in the same world of Xuanxin San, so the distance between the two pavilions is also very close, so it is reasonable for you to take care of each other. Okay, I see that your soul strength is a little weak. Then go down and take a good rest. In a few days, Zan Sansan will send an envoy to pick you up. Before that, you should have a good rest. Yu Yu also found out. Xiao Yan's soul power seems to be a little wrong, and he understands it in his heart, so he speaks. Yeah, the two responded at the same time. Xiao Yan and Yueru also returned to their respective wooden houses one after another, and then on the bed of the wooden house, Xiao Yan sat cross-legged with his eyes closed. His hands made strange handprints in front of his chest heaved slightly, and with every breath, a perfect cycle is formed, and during the breath cycle, the soul power on the forehead is also quietly drifting out. Strange, this soul power and spiritual power seem to have a similar relationship, but they exist independently. Since the soul power can be cultivated through the soul formula, then the spiritual power should be similar, but where can I find the spiritual power training formula? Xiao Yan also muttered to himself. Don't worry, after Zan Sansan, everything will work out. It's useless to worry too much now. The Golden Dragon King also said slowly. When Xiao Yan closed his eyes to cultivate, thinking about the connection between soul power and spiritual power, the ancient ring on his finger glowed slightly, and then fell silent. Huh. He let out a sigh of relief. Xiao Yan's eyes suddenly opened, and a wave of soul power that had just been several times stronger appeared. Soul strength has also recovered 8 or 9 times out of 10. Shen Shen sensed the soul realm on his forehead. Xiao Yan's face had a slight smile, and he really went out. Strength is the best guarantee, because no one knows what will happen in the next second. After a long while, Xiao Yan shook his head in satisfaction, climbed out of the bed physically and mentally exhausted, and stretched his numb hands and feet. Although Do Di powerhouses generally don't care too much about this kind of fatigue, there is nothing wrong with Xiao Yan now. He stretched his body and lay down on the bed. A few days passed slowly, and when the first light of the morning sun shone on the earth, the Yu family became quite serious, because today the messenger of Zan Santian was about to arrive. Xiao Yan has been resting as usual these past few days and then conditioning his soul power. Today, he is simply in the room. An old voice came from outside the room. Elder Xiao, Patriarch Yu, please go to the hall. Xiao Yan was also a dedicated elder who stayed in the Yu family after Yu Yu helped him so much before, so this title is not surprising. Yeah, he replied casually, changed his clothes. Xiao Yan walked out of the room, smiled at an old man in white outside the room and said, "Let's go, Butler Moon." Looking at Xiao Yan's face, the old man in the white shirt nodded kindly, and the moment he turned around, his cloudy old eyes flashed a touch of envy that was not easy to detect. Alas, this little friend Xiaoyan can possess such a powerful strength at such a young age. Link to www.novelmtl.com. The key is to be an alchemist with a high rank. This kind of identity is also envied by ordinary people. He followed the old butler through the backyard, and finally stopped outside the solemn reception hall. The butler first signaled Xiaoyan to wait for a while, then knocked on the door respectfully, and then gently pushed in. The hall is very spacious, and there are quite a few people in it. The ones sitting at the top are Yu and the third elder, who are familiar with Xiaoyan. There are also a few old people with indifferent expressions. Elders of the clan. Under the left hand of the 5 people, there are some elders who have the right to speak and are not weak in the family. Beside them, there are also some younger generations who have performed outstandingly in the family. Yueru is among them, and seeing Xiaoyan is also cannot help but smiled knowingly. On the other side, there is a stranger sitting in the same position opposite Yueyu. Presumably he is the messenger of Zan Santian that Yueyu said before. Some doubtful eyes swept over the stranger, a simple middle-aged man in a cloth robe. The middle-aged man and Yu did not know what they were talking about, with a smile on his face and a look of high spirits. Is this the kid who obtained the great fortune in the ruins? The middle-aged man also turned his attention to Xiaoyan and asked. The transition is over. Next will be a new starting point and a new story. I plan to integrate some new elements, such as attributes, formations, laws, fields, weapons, people, demons, gods, immortals, demons, ghosts, etc. Many new elements. Pig's feet are still Xiaoyan. As for the people on the Do-Chi continent, they will gradually appear, so everyone can look forward to it slowly. End of this chapter. Continuing from the previous episode 142. That's right, Brother Hu. It's this kid. Yu also said, and then her soul force quietly signaled to Xiaoyan. Not bad, this huge soul power is beyond the reach of ordinary people, and I see that the fire attribute in this kid seems to be an alchemist? The middle-aged man also frowned slightly. Obviously this first Xiaoyan was a little surprised. Senior praised me wrongly, but it's just a fluke. How dare you compare yourself to your senior? Xiaoyan also got up after hearing this, and then clasped his fists towards the middle-aged man. But my heart was shocked. Although I didn't suppress my breath, I could see some of my foundation just by looking at it like this, and it can be seen from calling Yu brothers that the relationship between the two should be good, and even their strength should be. Ha ha ha, you kid, to obtain good fortune requires more than strength. Luck is also a part of strength, so you don't have to be so humble. The middle-aged man was also very satisfied. With his vicious eyes, he could naturally see that this boy named Xiaoyan and others are different, lacking a kind of aloof attitude like that of a noble son. I heard Brother Yu long ago that you said in your letter that the boy who obtained the fortune of the ruins this time is not easy. When I look at it today, it is really extraordinary. I want to come to this, Zan Sankei. This time will be even more exciting. The middle-aged man is also rode with a smile. Ha ha ha, my daughter and little friend Xiaoyan have asked Brother Hu since Xuanzhen 3 days. Yu also said with a smile. The middle-aged man looked at Yu and said with a smile, I'm just in charge of receiving and leading. Zan Santian is not something I can say, but Brother Yu, why do you still talk so much about our friendship? I will naturally take care of it. Good to them. If you weren't busy today, I would definitely drink 300 cups with you. Yu also laughed. But Zan Tianxian is very strict when recruiting his disciples, so he needs to pay attention to a few points. First, the origin must be clear. For those whose origin is unknown, sects other than Solomon will not be accepted by the sects within the 3 days of Zan. After all, the major sects in the 3 days of Zan also pay great attention to their image, so those whose origins are unclear will definitely not accept them. Received. Second, the talent of Tianzi is better. The road of cultivation is inherently difficult. Without a good Tianzi, it will only waste the time of vain cultivators and make no progress. Therefore, we also advise those with insufficient Tianzi. Don't waste your time. The third is to be able to endure hardships and stand hard work, to get rid of the stubbornness of the child's character, and one must not give up easily, but must be strong-willed. Cultivation is not as easy as imagined. Without persevering determination and long time, it is difficult to achieve anything. Fourth, when you enter a sect, you must go through strict screening and allocate training resources according to your natural talents. Therefore, not everyone can enter the sect to learn powerful exercises and fighting skills. It all depends on you. Talent and strength, the middle-aged man said slowly. Hearing this, Xiao Yan also frowned. Obviously, the middle-aged man said there are no problems except the unknown origin, but the problem is here. Ha ha ha, what Brother Hu said is very true, but this little friend Xiao Yan is a first-grade emperor alchemist, and he is also a worship elder of our Yu family, so there shouldn't be an unknown origin, right? Yu also has a keen eye. Saw Xiao Yan's concerns at a glance, and then said, Xinya 81 Zhang Weian Wang U, Kai 8.1 ZS, Coem. Although this kid is young and his soul strength is not weak, but a first-rank emperor alchemist, this is too much. The middle-aged Hu Du pondered. As for Hu Du, who has been in Xuanxin Sansan all the year round, he is very clear. This so-called emperor-rank first-rank pharmacist may not be very outstanding in Xuansansan, but what is outstanding is his age. Possessing such a powerful medicine refining technique is enough to show that this kid has a high talent for refining medicine. If it is true, then this kid named Xiao Yan is too terrifying. Ha, Brother Hu, when did I lie to you? Moreover, countless people in our Yu family have seen with our own eyes that Xiao Yan Xiaoyu has refined a first-grade emperor-rank medicinal pill, and successfully subdued it. Yu also said, Huh? The middle-aged Hu Du also moved his eyes slightly, and then locked Xiao Yan firmly. In that case, it's a family. The middle-aged man also smiled, as if he was thinking about something. He knows Yu's character and habits, so since this Xiao Yan can be accepted as the worship elder of their Yu family, there is no need to worry about his origin. Hearing this, Xiao Yan felt relieved when he saw the actions and words and deeds of the middle-aged and Yu, and then sat down. Yueru is also a medicinal pill Xiao Yan, and then sits tightly beside Xiao Yan. Ruer, haven't seen your Uncle Hu yet? Yu also said, Yueru has met Uncle Hu. When Yueru heard this, she also stood up and gave a salute to the middle-aged man, but Yueru's previous actions were seen by the middle-aged man. I was still a baby when I held you, and I never imagined that I would grow into a lady. The middle-aged man also laughed ha ha ha. Yeah, time flies quickly, and decades have passed since we separated. Yu couldn't help but sigh. Are the two of them going this time? Hu Du also knew Yu's habit. Once he mentioned it, it was like a surging river, and he hurriedly changed the subject. Yes, this time we in Qingcheng are my precious daughter Yueru and the elder Xiao Yan. Yu also said, looking at Yu and Hu Du in front of them, they chatted a lot again, but most of them were their childhood memories. Okay, Yu reading link to www.youcanshu.com. Brother Hu. You've come all the way, and you must be tired. You'll rest here today, and I'll take care of you in the evening. Yu also said that it was getting late. All right, but don't forget my mission. Hu Du also yawned. Don't worry, I have already informed people in other cities that they will come to Qingcheng tomorrow, and you can take them away together, saving a lot of trouble. Yu had already made arrangements. Let's all go down. The two of you have a good rest, and you should be leaving tomorrow. Yu sent Hu Du away to rest, and then said to Yu and Xiao Yan beside her. The two also nodded when they heard the words, and then went back to the room. This time, the messenger who came to the 7 major cities near Qingcheng to go to Xuanxin Sansan was named Hu Du, who was also a peak powerhouse of the 5-star Do Di. Since Hu Du first came to Qingcheng, he was entertained by Yu and lived in Yu's house. The following is enough to illustrate the iron-like relationship between the two. Hearing the arrival of the messenger, several people from other major cities also came to Qingcheng one after another. Of course, Yue's help was inevitable. In the ghost's wooden house, Yueru also found that she couldn't sleep today, and murmured as she looked at Xiao Yan's room where the lights had already been turned off. This is the first time I've traveled far. I'm really reluctant to bear my father. Xiao Yan, don't try to escape from Miss Ben's palm. In the wooden house opposite Yueru, whose lights had long since been turned off, a thin figure suddenly shuddered. Ask for a ticket. End of this chapter, continuing from the previous episode 143. In a blink of an eye, the night passed and the second day passed. On this day, Hu Du also went to bed early under the warm hospitality of Yu, and everyone in the other 7 cities also knew that today was the time for them to leave. Because only Zon Santian will let the proud sons of the 7 cities know that there are people outside the world and there are heavens, and then they will gain more powerful cultivation resources and insights, so the masters of the major cities are also actively cooperating with the messengers of Zon Santian. After all, this is what an essential family heir must go through. In Wucheng, before a dilapidated hall, a few servants also looked up to the sky. After the sky-high explosion, their Wucheng suffered heavy losses, and many of the luxury buildings in the past were beyond recognition, but even so, that the irascible lord of Wucheng also seemed to go silent on weekdays, as if the loss of his beloved son made him lose himself, and he is only now showing up. At the towering pavilion, a majestic red douqi rose to the sky, and the figure wrapped in douqi was the lord of Wucheng. Today, we are going to leave Wucheng to organize a major event, and the daily life of Wucheng is business as usual. Everything will be managed by Murray after I leave. The lord of Wucheng also stood on the pavilion and said regretfully, "If it wasn't for his son to encounter this kind of thing, it would be great to stand on this acre and be a tyrant, but unfortunately, Wu Huan had such a situation, and now he had no choice but to take people to the place of that force. After all, only they could save their son's life." How so? Could it be that young Master Wuan really suffered an accident? There were many voices from below the pavilion. The lord of Wucheng also didn't care about the many words. The red fighting qi roared out from his body, like a ferocious lion, and on the head of the lion, the lord of Wucheng's eyes turned to a house in the distance of Qingcheng. "Xiao Yan, little bastard, I will definitely kill you in revenge for this murder." After a moment of grimness, he also understood his immediate task, then withdrew his gaze, no longer hesitated, and disappeared in a flash. On the edge of the sky, with the disappearance of the master of Wucheng, the people of the Soul clan also followed, and the group obviously had some plans. Muller has already embarked on the road to Qingcheng. Sword King City, under a lonely peak like a sword blade, a black figure with a heavy sword on his back walked out of the mountain step by step, saying something while walking. As I approached, I just found out that it was a young man in a gray robe. If you look closely, who is not Wang Zhang? However, in his eyes, the black cloth wrapped around it had disappeared without a trace, and a black mark on his forehead invisibly exuded a more frightening aura than before. The side effects of your imprint are getting worse and worse. You have to be careful in the future, and don't take it off easily unless you have to, or you will go crazy. I hope Zon Santian can suppress this mark. A thin figure also spoke slowly. As ordered, Master. Wang Zhang also said to the thin figure in front of him with his hands clasped, and then wrapped the black mark on his forehead. Although the emaciated figure in front of Wang Zhang makes people seem a little weak, only Wang Zhang knows that this seemingly emaciated master is actually a veritable strong man, and also has Yu, the master of the Yu family. One fight, but his master was obsessed with sword intent all day long and didn't pay too much attention to these things. You need a real opponent to sharpen your sword. These 7 cities obviously can't accommodate you. Zon Santian should be the best place for you to understand the sword intent. I can't help you too much when you practice sword intent. Everything depends on you. Be careful on the road. The thin figure's hoarse voice disappeared. Wang Zhang also nodded knowingly, and then walked towards Qingcheng. Anyway, his master came and went without a trace, and he was already used to it. In the city of 10,000 beasts, a deafening beast roar resounded from the city, and then people in the entire city saw a huge winged beast flapping its wings and soaring into the air. On top of the winged beast, a delicate young girl was sitting on her knees. Her long green hair and her eyes were full of agility and quirky appearance. It is Lu Yin. On her tender shoulders, the ice-blue Xiaohan was also beating cheerfully, making a chirping sound. Obviously it was very happy to be able to go out to play again. The strange thing was that the cold air in Xiaohan's pair of bird eyes seemed to be stronger than that in the ruins. It is more powerful inside. Obviously it has grown through something. Father, let's go. Don't miss me too much. Lu Yin touched the bird, her face full of excitement. Let's go. The girl shouted loudly, and Xiaohan, who was originally a small Yuan, swelled several times in an instant, and then his wings vibrated, his speed soared, and the wind went away. Master, Mrs.'s ability to tame animals is really extraordinary. A housekeeper also looked at Lu Yindao, who was far away. Naturally, after all, it was cultivated as a successor. The person called the master also responded. In a martial arts academy, a man showing his upper body, his burly muscles are enviable. It seems that your gains in the ruins are not linked to small. www.novelmtl.com. Sun Ming's father also said. They possess the power of berserkers, and they can use their power to break through the current limit, so although they also cultivate Do Qi, they pay more attention to the cultivation of physical fitness. If you go to Xuanchen Santian, you should pay attention. After all, it's not our 7 cities. Said like a dragon. I know, I'm sorry, I'm leaving. Sun Ming also sorted out his clothes and left. To the north of Qingcheng, there is a snowy family. Miss, the messenger of Zan Santian has arrived in Qingcheng. The master asked me to inform you that you can leave. A well-behaved maid sounded cautiously outside the incense pavilion. Oh, I see. Then Xiao Yan has some meaning. After speaking, he disappeared into the room strangely. Inside the city of hell, a young face that was pale and bloodless appeared in the wooden house. His eyes were gray, and his body seemed to be wrapped in the aura of death, which made people shudder. Let's go, the messenger of Zan Santian has arrived. I hope Zan Santian can improve my physique, otherwise. Cough, cough, cough. The moment he spoke, he also coughed, and then a large pool of blood appeared in his hands. In Fenglei City, a woman in a vegetable skirt with a thunderous vindictive body also set off towards Qingcheng. Zan Santian, I'm really looking forward to it. Several people from the 7 major cities also rushed towards Qingcheng. Xiao Yan and Yueru also got up early in the morning, prepared some things to bring with them, and then waited in the lobby with Hu Du, because today they were together. To leave this Qingcheng, ask for a recommendation. Set a small goal first, such as 1 second to remember. Shukju mobile version reading website. Continuing from the previous episode 144. The next day, when the first ray of sunshine in the morning shone on the earth, Hu Du was already in the Yu family hall, and then Yu Ru and Xiao Yan were also waiting there. As soon as the others came, they would set off. Yu and Hu Du were also chatting about trivial matters, and then Yu Ru sat in the lobby and seemed a little uneasy. After all, this was the first time she had traveled far. Although she was helped by an acquaintance, Yu was also extremely worried. Don't worry, father, I will take good care of myself. Yueru also knew her father's thoughts, and then her lips lifted slightly. You are so old, so I don't need to worry too much. Just remember to take care of yourself when you go out. In addition, try to use as little as possible the things on your forehead, before you have enough strength and accept the inheritance. Yu also solemnly. Yeah. Yu Ru nodded knowingly when she heard the words, and then her slender eyes moved slightly, which was extremely beautiful. Seeing this, Xiao Yan shook his head helplessly, wondering if his father and daughter were okay. Minutes and seconds passed, and the people from the 7 major cities also came to the Yu family one after another. After all, this was the messenger of Zan Santian, and they did not dare to miss the opportunity. Muller was also the first to come to Yu's house, and then greeted Hu Du respectfully. Although Wucheng and Mu's family obviously hated that Yu's house sheltered Xiao Yan, but unfortunately this was someone else's territory, and Muller also knew others didn't like seeing him, so he didn't make fun of himself and found a place to sit down. Immediately after that, Feng Yi, a woman in a colorful dress, also arrived immediately, with a rush of fire, with a faint thunder beating on her slender body. Feng Yi just walked into the lobby of Yu's house when she saw Xiao Yan, Yu Ru and Mu Le, and then said hello to Zan Santian's messenger, and then went straight to Xiao Yan regardless of Yu Ru's eyes. Sit down. I haven't seen your strength increase so fast for a few days. Feng Yi said to Xiao Yan with great interest as soon as he sat down. Xiao Yan was also helpless about this, and then responded with a smile. After all, Xiao Yan remembered that Feng Yi possessed the 2 attributes of wind and thunder, and his soul strength was not weak. Although Xiao Yan is not afraid, multiple friends are better than multiple enemies. Yu Ru, who was beside her, frowned slightly, and then stared at Feng Yi, as if she was guarding against something. The living dead also appeared silently, their faces were pale, and those who didn't know it thought they were unwell. After looking around, he also found a place to sit down and slowly waited for the arrival of others. Wang Zheng also arrived, and warmly greeted everyone in the lobby. A slender figure appeared in the lobby like a ghost. A ghost. This movement is really weird. Hu Du also said. Lu Yin and Sun Ming also came one after another. Mu Jia Muller, Fenglei City Fenji, The ginseng market of the living dead in Hades City. Sword King City King Bell. The magic of the Snow Ruins family. Lu Yin, City of 10,000 Beasts. Berserker Sun Ming. The 7 people also came to Yu's house one after another. Seeing that everyone had arrived, Xiao Yan also carefully looked at them. The ones that impressed the most were the Berserker Sun Ming and Wang Zhang of Sword King City. Compared with them, it is not as good as either of them. If the 7 of you arrive, adding these 2, there will be 9 people in total. Now that you are all here, let's go. Seeing that everyone was there, Hu Du also stood up, and then faced everyone in the lobby. Road. Everyone got up when they heard the words, and then looked at Hu Du with hot eyes. The strength of this messenger of Zon Santian is actually so powerful that it can be seen that the so-called Zon Santian is a real trial ground. Hu Du also finished speaking, then floated out of the lobby, waved his palm, and a stream of light appeared in front of everyone out of thin air. Everyone looked up and saw the vast sky above the Yu family courtyard. The originally gorgeous clouds were suddenly torn apart, and the streamer waving from Hu Du's hand turned into a giant shadow that whizzed past everyone, and then quickly expanded. Seeing this, Xiao Yan also covered the huge soul power of his streamer, and then under Xiao Yan's perception, it seemed to be a huge container. Everyone was far away at first and didn't know what it was. After looking carefully, they discovered that the giant shadow was actually a giant ship. The ship was engraved with some mysterious runes, as if it was protected by an invisible layer of fighting spirit. There is a majestic fluctuation of fighting spirit above. This item is a ferry boat. It is a tool used in our Zon Santian to travel remotely. It can independently open up a space channel to reach Zon Santian, save a lot of trouble, and its speed is extremely fast. Just need to inject Do Qi into it, and it can continue to flow. Progress, and the vindictive energy consumed is negligible. Hu Du also laughed. Xinya 81 Zhang Weian Wang U. Kai 8.1 ZS. Ko M. Senior. Why don't you use your own vindictive energy to go on your way? Muller also asked in confusion. Obviously, the affairs of Wucheng in the past few days made him not have much understanding of Zon Tianxian. Hey, it's true to rush your way with vindictive qi, but it's a long way from here to Zon Sansan. If you insist on rushing your way with vindictive qi, I won't make it difficult for you. Hu Du also laughed. Ha ha ha. Muller didn't speak as if he had closed the door. In that case, get on the boat and set off. I should have missed some time on the way here, otherwise I won't be able to catch up. Hu Du also said. Hearing that, the 9 people also jumped onto the giant ship one after another. Brother Hu, I'll ask you to love your daughter. Yu also knew that the time for each invitation was extremely hasty, so she didn't hold back too much. Yeah, Hu Du also responded, then with a movement, he instantly appeared on the giant ship. Hu Du's huge vindictive qi also radiated link to out www.novelmtl.com and then injected it towards the bow of the boat. With the injection of vindictive qi, the giant ship also slowly accelerated its speed. In a blink of an eye, it disappeared into the blue sky. City, heading towards Zon Santian. After all, Qingcheng is the border of Xuanling continent, and Xuanshan Santian is the real core of Xuanling continent. So it is extremely far away from where Xuantanshan is, and if you fly away, it will cost more money along the way. Not to mention the time, the various checkpoints along the way are also troublesome, and the most important thing is that the strength of their mere 3-star duty is not enough to support such a long flight, so Hu Dukai used the ferry. First, it is convenient, second, it can go directly to Zon Santian, and third, it is also possible to explain some precautions for them on the way. After all, every reception is these procedures. So Mueller's previous question was also ridiculous. Obviously, the strength of any of the 9 of them was not qualified to use Do Qi to cross Xuanshan Santian. The giant ship was moving rapidly in a quiet passage, and then on the periphery of the giant ship, a layer of giant battle qi shield that wrapped the entire ferry also appeared, and everyone felt relieved when they saw this. Let's go find accommodation first, 1 room per person, on the 2nd floor. When things are settled, gather together at night. I have something to inform you. Hu Du's voice came from beside the 9 people. When the 9 people heard the words, they did the same. Xiao Yan also looked at this ferry boat with great interest, obviously very interested. Ask for a ticket. Recently, I am sorting out the outline, and I will start a new journey soon. I will not let everyone down. End of this chapter.